It's time to wander the world with Sharon. Enjoy this Big Blend radio podcast featuring award-winning travel writer and photographer Sharon K. Kurtz. You know, Sharon loves to wander the world, but today she's joining us to talk about her backyard, Fredericksburg in Texas, the beautiful, historic, and wine-loving, music-loving destination of Fredericksburg in the Hill Country. And so we're excited about this. And so welcome back, Sharon. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here and I'm doing great.
I think this is fantastic that we're talking about it's the holiday season and we're going to talk about wine, but there's so much more there too in Fredericksburg, right? So this is the area I recall that you can actually hear German music on the radio when you drive through.
That is all over towns. They say, instead of saying welcome to Fredericksburg, they say welcome, the German word, welcome in.
Willkommen.
Yes. So was founded by German immigrants in the 1800s. Times in Germany were really, really tough, and somebody came up with the plan. They bought a land grant or a large section, and all these people came from Germany, and it wasn't easy. It didn't go well. They landed like in the Galveston area, and they eventually, the land grant was for a slightly different area, but they made their way to Fredericksburg and they made a home. And to this day, it is charming. It's just a little village with the most unique culture.
And so Luckenbach, that is famous. I mean, I know Ryan Bingham, the Willie Nelson and his sons play there. This is like a institution in Texas, a music institution. Tell us about your experience there, because I've always wanted to go and I've always heard about it. I know they have festivals out there, but
yes,
you can still hear music because you saw music while you were there, right?
Yes, live music every day. Of course,
wow.
I'm from Dallas for years and years and moved to Austin just a year and a half ago. And it had been years since I had been to Fredericksburg. So when I got this opportunity, I said, well, heck yes. I don't care if I'm somewhat of a local, an hour and a half away. I want to go and experience it. So my drive there, I met my group. There's just only 6 other journalists, all women, in Luckenbach. And close by, we got a lunch to go. And it is charming. It is old-timey. They have an original post office. They have one of the oldest dance halls in Texas there in Luckenbach.
Wow. That's cool.
A stage, and it is just the best atmosphere. It really gets you in the mood.
And the scenery too. It's kind of you're in the hill country, so it does get hot, but it doesn't get crazy hot like it can in other areas. So it's kind of this, I remember all the trees out there. You've got, blue bonnets behind you. I know in spring it's gorgeous. So that'll be just in the next couple months or so, 2-3 months maybe, depending on how winter treats y'all out there. But I think that's what I love Texas. Personally, it's a long drive across your state, especially at the top of the Panhandle, but the variety of experiences you can have and the difference in topography and the landscape. I mean, from Port Aransas, what we talked about early this spring, the coast, and you've got swampy areas, you've got swamps with gators, you've got pelicans, and then you go up into the Panhandle with all these geological amazements, and then you've got this hill country, you got cities, but this hill country and wine. So, and a lot of music, and it changes. There's Norteno music, there's the Papa music is what I call it, and so just all this country music. So Luckenbach is really more, I think, on the countryside, right? Or they just really represent Texas more than anything, I think.
Yes, the story goes, way back 50 years ago, it was just someone came in and bought it, I believe, and just it got known for Willie Nelson and Wayland, and now it's famous, but it is just a little stop in the road.
So you just get a picnic lunch and take it there, and they serve you cocktails while you watch music and have lunch?
Yes, there's a place to get drinks, but not much there's no restaurant certainly, not much
Hmm.
other than snack food. So we just bought a close by a picnic lunch, and there's picnic tables spread out, and then you
Nice.
wander around and listen to the live music. It was
Oh,
fun.
sounds awesome. That's awesome. Now, what about the wine?
Wow,
This
wine.
is important.
Yes. Well, Texas, it is the second biggest visited wine region in the US other than Napa. Can you believe that? It's not the
No,
largest
didn't know that.
region, but because it's a charming town, everybody wants to go to the hill country, especially in the spring or the fall. Look at those blue bonnets. And it is the second most visited wine region.
Hmm.
So we've adapted grapes, the ones that grow in our area the best. You'll have reds and whites and 50 wineries around and vineyards, and you can go visit them like on a wine trail. And
Mm,
it's
that's
it's a
cool.
great thing to do when you go to visit, other than a beer stein if it's maybe Oktoberfest or the German food. But
Oh, okay. We like the German food. This is part of it. What are the lodging options like?
I'm glad you brought that up. So it's a little bitty town, Fredericksburg,
Hmm.
and they're known for their bed and breakfasts and guest house.
Cool.
And up until now, they've never had a major hotel, except that's changing. Very soon, the 1st of January, is opening the Albert Hotel. It's right on Main Street. They took three historic properties, kind
Hmm.
of like an old bar and old house, and they converted them and built it's going to have 105 rooms, full
Wow.
service, uh, really nice hotel. So that's
Mm.
new. But you asked where I stayed. There was about 7 of us women, and we all stayed at individual properties to get a feel for the place. And
Hmm.
mine, where I stayed, it was called the Outlot 201, and it's three guest houses. They're little individual houses out in the country. There were cows across the street. There was the
Oh,
most
cool.
beautiful sunrise out my windows, and it's
Oh, I love
everything you
that.
need right on the outside of town. You have all the privacy you need.
Well, I think that's what's so cool is you get these little towns with all kinds of things to do and wineries and restaurants, shopping and everything. But some of these places to stay, you can just be out in enjoy those sunrise, sunsets. And we stayed
Yeah.
out in the hill country, but it was near Bandera area,
Hmm.
which isn't too far away, and just loved it. And we had um black buck wandering around, which is not from it's not, it's not local. But they were walking around and Nancy and I were like, all right, we felt like we were in Africa. The first day
Yeah.
we got there, we didn't even move. We just sat there. We were at a vacation rental and we just sat out there and we're like, well, let's just have lunch outside and watch all these animals. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But a lot of state parks out there too, a lot of parks to explore.
Yes.
So I
And
encourage people to do that.
thing about Fredericksburg is Lyndon B. Johnson's. His
Mm.
homestead is very close by. So you can do
Oh,
just a little car ride. You go out and you see the house where it was kind of like the Texas White House.
oh,
And
cool.
we went to the cemetery where his family and him are all buried. And it's beautiful under sprawling oak trees. So that
Mm.
is a fun part of Fredericksburg.
Very nice. Well, the Johnsons are really fascinating. And I love her because of what she's done with nature and everything. But you come on our women making history shows all the time. She made history as one of the first broadcasters. She was one of the first women in the country to buy radio stations. She's
Wow,
cool. And she's
I
done
didn't
like
know that.
butterfly stuff and she's all about wildflowers. And I think that's in your backyard, like
Oh,
literal
yes.
backyard
It is
in
the most
Austin.
wonderful place. I go like at least a couple times a season.
We need to do that. We'll have to plan to see you in spring. We'll go on a
Yes.
road. We should do a Texas road trip.
All
Uh-oh.
right. There you
I
go.
think we need a driver. We need a driver.
Yes.
We we need James to come and I don't know who James is, but for some reason he needs to take us around. That'd be fun. That would be very dangerous. So go to Fredericksburg. Since it is the holiday season, what would you say? Would this be a good destination for gift shopping during the holidays?
Oh, yes. The main things to do in Fredericksburg are it's this charming little town with all the charming downtown Main Street with all the little buildings are like all original. And what you do is you come to drink good wine, to
Hmm.
shop. It is a
Wine, then
shopping
shop, and in
mecca.
between.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
wine and shopping, hand in
yeah.
hand.
Oh, so
Bye
you
bye bank account.
like just imagine going in and maybe you'd buy German Christmas ornaments because
Mm,
there's a strong German influence because of their history. So that would
yes.
be fun. And go to Allen Boots and buy your favorite because they won't be small cost, a wonderful new pair of cowboy boots.
Mm,
Allen's Boots.
okay, that's good. And going back to the Christmas ornaments, we have a pickle. I talk about this all the time. I know we have a German pickle. It's an ornament that if you find the pickle, it'll be hidden somewhere in the house, right on Christmas Day. When you find the pickle ornament, you get an extra present.
I didn't know. Do you know I have a pickle ornament? Someone must have given it to me. I didn't know its history. Now I know. I know why
Yeah. Well,
I have
ours
a
comes
pickle
from
on my
Texas.
tree.
We got it in Gladewater, Texas, from a Christmas
Ah.
store. And the gentleman there, we were doing an interview, and he's like, "Well, you need a pickle since you've got German heritage." And we're like, "We always take it. We actually have it in the. It's
Oh,
we carry a pickle." And so every Christmas now, because we travel full time, we get our champagne and we have some Christmas ornaments. It's very interesting. We get our pickle out and we get
oh.
said, so Nancy and I go, well, we know where the pickle is, so there's no hide and seek with the pickle. But since we have a pickle, we get to have an extra bottle of champagne.
Oh,
That's
well,
our
I think that's fair. That is only fair.
that's perfect, right? So
Yeah.
it's we have very happy Christmas celebration. So the wine, so shopping is good. So that's what
Yes.
I think people have got to do more shopping in these smaller downtown kind of locations,
They're all
help mom
independent
and
little
pops.
stores. There
Oh,
is
I
no
love it.
mall here. There's no chain stores. The coffee shops are all independent. The restaurants are
Ooh.
independent. It's just the most charming atmosphere. And what else
Mm.
is very interesting on Main Street is the what you might not expect is the National Museum of the Pacific War is in Fredericksburg.
Wow.
And you've heard about Admiral Chester Nimitz. Have you heard that
Hmm.
name? Okay.
I've heard the name.
He's from Fredericksburg, and
Wow.
he played a big part in this Pacific War. Um, uh, and now there's a big museum, and it's fascinating. I believe it is the only museum about the Pacific War in the country, or
Wow.
let's say in the
Well,
world. And all these exhibits. And what else is interesting is that Japan
hmm.
contributed funds, and there is a Japanese peace garden there in the middle of Fredericksburg in the back area of the museum, just as you would imagine the Oriental gardens, and it's very
Mm,
peaceful, all to promote peace among
I
peoples.
love that. I love that. And it gets kind of forgotten that way. And you would think it's really kind of fascinating, actually, how much history the Southwest has that is global and it gets forgotten. And even
Yes,
like the Civil War went all the way through the Southwest, even
yes,
California, like Central California, depending on what side of, if you were in the North and South, they were fighting like the North and South did, but in Central California. So part of how the Civil War even ended was called part of the Bascom Affair that happened at the fort in Fort Bowie in Southeast Arizona, and it has to do with the California column coming in. But this stuff is so kind of hidden, and you need to go to these smaller places to actually realize how these wars are all connected to the rest of the world. Because, like you said, Nimitz came from there, so he's got this history and legacy. So that's a really big deal for people to go and
yes,
experience. Wow. So, do they have any history of the Germans coming in, like any museum that people can go
yes,
to
of
experience the
course.
German heritage?
They have the Pioneer Museum, and in when you see the photos that I've contributed, they have what's called the Sunday houses, and they're just little bitty houses because when the German people came, they got a plot of land to start a farm out in the country, but they had to have a little place to live in the city, and they all got a lot, and they built these little houses called Sunday houses, which literally they came in for the weekend, and
Hmm.
maybe the whole family would bunk there. And if there were men, there's an exterior stairs to go up to the top where the men would
Hmm.
live. And so a lot of these accommodations now, like my little place, the Outlot 201,
Hmm.
the way it's so charming is they're all three little individual houses, kind of mimicking a Sunday house.
Wow. And so they'd come in Sunday, then Monday
Yes,
do like
yes,
banking and go to the
right.
general store and then go back out to the farm.
Right. So there is the Pioneer Museum, and you can go through it and you can see all the German history and learn this. And then you can go out and there's windmills, and you learn how they made it, how they survived back in the
Mm.
day.
Wow. Because you got to think it is not easy terrain, right?
Oh my
This
gosh.
is
Oh,
completely different than Germany too. It's like night
yes.
and day. They don't have rattlesnakes and all of that, and they come out and it's like, okay, but let's make wine.
Yeah, yes. The wine, I think they probably brought along grapevines, it's true, but the wine culture started about 50 years ago, I think, when they discovered that,
Mm.
this is really compatible with grapes. Let's start
Yeah.
something.
So
And
beer, are there breweries there too?
yes, and Oktoberfest, of course, is very big in the fall.
Mm.
You dress up in lederhosen, and there is beer halls, and they have wonderful
Wow.
festivals in Fredericksburg. But what we haven't talked about
Mm.
is adventure in nature. They're behind me. That is called
Mhm.
Enchanted Rock.
Oh, oh, so is that a state park or a county park or
Yes, it's a state
what's a
nature
park?
area, and that is a massive pink granite dome. It rises 425 feet up in
Oh,
the
you
air.
can see where that part of that is at the pink. Wow.
Yes, and it's a hard, I did not go on the climb that morning, but it is a pretty steep, hard climb, but beautiful views from up there.
Mm. Wow. So that's what I was saying, that area is gorgeous for hiking. And if you can get in there, right now, look at it, it's December, look at it for spring. Oh my gosh. And bird watching in Texas is at the top. I mean, Texas is a renowned state for bird watching, and I can highly recommend bird watching out in that area. It's fabulous. So if there people can get out there and go into those parks and go hiking, you'll see
Yeah.
wildflowers and, ooh.
Well, Fredericksburg, it is small, but it gets very busy. So I would recommend, if you want to plan a trip, my best recommendation would be to come during the week. The
Mm-hmm.
weekends get busy, so hang around till Monday or come earlier in the week. But during the week, you won't have the crowds. You'll experience everything, and it'll be a really enjoyable experience.
Yeah, because it's true. That's right. Fredericksburg is right on that map, isn't it? And it's a scenic drive. Do people go there also just for the drives and I
Oh,
remember
it is.
motorcyclists going just for the rides out there.
Oh, it is. Just look at that road of
Mm.
bluebonnets behind me. Um,
Mm.
it's even in the winter, those are like live oaks, so the trees
Mm.
are still going to be leafed out and beautiful,
Mm.
even if it is December.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, always fun chatting with you, Sharon. You always take us amazing places. You have such a wonderful life. You know,
I
it's a
am very
wonderful life with
fortunate.
Sharon.
I
Everyone,
am
you can
very
go to
fortunate.
visit Fredericksburg, Texas. So it is visit fredericksburgtx.com for the website. So you can plan your trip there and keep up with Sharon. Go to sharonkkurtz.com. And we're looking forward to New Year and finding out, my gosh, I'm just thinking about the year. This year, how many
It's
places, how
gone
many
by
countries?
so quickly.
I mean, I remember we started talking in February with Port Aransas,
Yes.
and we
And
did
then I've been to
Poland,
Poland, I've been to
Slovenia,
Peru. Um,
Slovenia, you
yes,
Pol
and
yeah.
yes,
Wow. Yeah, think about it. And then you did that cruise
yes,
in European cruise. You've done Fredericksburg. Yeah, you've been Oakland.
yes. Um,
I
and
know we're missing something. I know
I
we
know,
are.
I know. So,
I mean, to go Niagara Falls in
oh yes.
Canada, that was so you did that too. You did, upstate New York with the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association conference. Next year sounds like a good conference. It's going to be Louisiana,
Oh,
Lafayette.
yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
crawfish and
Zydeco breakfast.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to do
Great
that.
music in Louisiana.
Oh, man, I know. And they're right next to you. I mean, come on. You're in a good spot. You're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Everyone, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back in the new year with more adventures wandering around the world with Sharon. Thanks for
Thank you, Lisa.
listening.
It was
Thank
fun as
you.
always.
Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Wander the World with Sharon podcast. You can keep up with Sharon's adventures at SharonKHertz.com. Follow Big Blend Radio at BigBlendRadio.com. Happy travels!